Hey everybody, it's Brad coming to you with a brand new Tubi Tuesday for February. And for those who don't know what Tubi Tuesday is, this is a video series I do. I release on the last Tuesday of the month, and I highlight and lowlight some of the movies I watched on Tubi this past month. As always, I like to start at the bottom. I give my bottom three for what I watched. Overall, in February, I watched 15 films on Tubi, most of them brand new. I tend to lean a little more towards horror than not, but I try to mix it up. So we're going to start off with our lowlights. First, coming in at, the third to the bottom, is a movie from 2014, and it is called Kite, and it stars Samuel L. Jackson. It's based off of a 1998 anime of the same name about a girl who is seeking revenge after her family is murdered. And overall, this movie was just dull and boring. Like, the action sequences were very poorly edited. A lot of the style in it, like, there was a lot of stylization trying to make it almost feel like a comic book sort of, and some of that worked, but not enough to really grab me in and just love this film. It was just overall, it was just not good, not enjoyable. In my opinion, I'd say skip it. If you've seen the 98 anime, I've never seen that to compare. So, I mean, if you've seen that and you want to compare the two, go for it. But it just didn't work out for me. So the next on the list is a sequel in the Species series. For those who don't know, there are 4 Species films. I didn't know there were 4 until this past month. And for a bit, Tubi had all 4 of them. I do not believe they are on Tubi any longer, but I watched all 4 Species movies. I really enjoy the first one. The second one's not bad. But then we eventually get to Species The Awakening from 2007. And it's one of those that's just like, why? Why did you make this? It's definitely a, straight to video type of film that doesn't do a whole lot tying into the others. It's just a scientist who's attempting to reverse the effects of this alien DNA used to create his, I guess, daughter, I think it was. But it just, oh my gosh, it was so slow. And for a Species movie, I really want this to, like, pick up, and you want to see some kills and her go after, people and a little bit more. It just drug and just did not work for me at all. So, the final film, the lowest film, the worst film that I watched, that I think was the worst film I watched this month on Tubi, was from 2018, and that is Holmes and Watson, starring Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly. Usually, I mean, I think that both those guys are very funny. I mean, I love, Anchorman and Talladega Nights and a lot of those other films. And this, oh my gosh, this was so bad. I don't think I laughed or even gave a chuckle through the entire film. Like, it was one of the most unfunny things I have ever seen. They seemed to try way too hard with the jokes. The jokes were forced hard, and fell so flat. And if you want to watch a Sherlock Holmes film, watch Guy Ritchie's Sherlock Holmes movies with Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law. Those are also on Tubi. I recommend watching those films over Holmes and Watson, because this film was just not good. That's why it landed on the very bottom of what I watched this past month. So let's move to the tops for February. And coming in at number 3 of my top 3 for February is a film from 2021 called The Resonator, Miskatonic You. And this is actually a sequel to the film From Beyond, which is based off of an H.P. Lovecraft story, which I really like. From Beyond, and it is on Tubi, so I would highly recommend checking that one out. But this takes place many years later, and it deals with, the character is the son of who we got from the original one. And it's 6 students at this university. Who one of the students, he like I said, he is the son of the original person from Beyond. He created a machine known as the Resonator that can kind of connect to other universes by stimulating a gland in your brain, and it can bring creatures through to you, and some of the creatures do kill, and the creature effects in this were really good. It was really short. It was only a little over an hour. I would have loved to see a little bit more from this. I think it was originally supposed to be like a little mini series, but I thought it was a good follow-up to From Beyond. When it said it was a sequel to From Beyond, I was a little worried, because From Beyond is one of my favorites. But this did, is a pretty solid follow-up, especially for being made in 2021. So if you're an H.P. Lovecraft fan, if you like From Beyond, check out The Resonator. It was worth watching. So next on the list is a film from 1988, and it is called Brain Damage. And it's about an average guy who lives in New York. He becomes dependent on an evil, disembodied kind of creature in his brain. And this, I did not expect basically what we got from this. Like, it's this creature that kind of comes out of his head, and it talks to him and everything else, and it's kind of silly, kind of goofy, but it has some good practical effects and some great kills in it, and it's very, very enjoyable. I really enjoyed Brain Damage and highly recommend it to anyone who's into horror or horror comedy or those movies from the 80s. Like, if you haven't seen Brain Damage, check it out. And then the top movie on my list, like, Brain Damage almost jumped to the top. It was close between these two. The last one is from 2014, and it's called Video Games the Movie. And this is a documentary kind of going through the history of video games and a lot of behind stories of video games, PlayStation, Nintendo, Sega, Xbox, all that stuff. It didn't really have a whole lot of information I didn't already know that I have seen from other, video game type documentaries that have come out, but it was still very enjoyable, and in watching it with that nostalgia of, I grew up, my first video game system was the Atari 2600, and going through a lot of these video games, I mean, it is a very nostalgic ride through video games. And if you don't know a lot of the information, you're going to get some from it. If you know it, you'll just go, oh, this is just cool. So Video Games, the movie, is definitely one that I would recommend watching on Tubi. It was like I said, between Brain Damage and Video Games, the movie, top for the month of February. So that will do it for another Tubi Tuesday. I will be back again the last Tuesday next month to highlight the films for March. Follow me online at Tubi Tuesday on Instagram and Twitter. I try to post every Tuesday or anytime I watch something on Tubi that I watch, so you can follow that journey over there. Also follow my friend Drew over at Needs to Be Seen, and it's TUBI. He also does the same thing. Whenever he watches anything on Tubi, he posts it over there on Twitter. So follow my friend Drew. He watches some good stuff too. Hey, before I go, I have 2 great giveaways that I'm running right now. 2 movies from Paramount Pictures. The first is The Deep House. It is an underwater horror film, and it is described as when a young couple sets to explore a house at the bottom of the lake, they discover a sinister presence. Can they escape the underwater house of horrors before it's too late? You can rent or buy Deep House right now. Same with the second film called Run and Gun. This is a high-octane thriller, and it is now available to stream on Redbox. And it's described as after he is blackmailed into one last job for the mob, an ex-criminal must face his violent past to protect his family when a deadly double-cross puts him on the run from ruthless assassins. He's not a bad guy. He's just having a bad day. So you can check out Run and Gun, also from Paramount Pictures. And I have a few digital codes to see the film as well. If you are interested in seeing either Deep House or Run and Gun, shoot me a message. I have a couple. So like I said, first come, first serve. And I will shoot you that code, and you can check out one of those films. I will be back next month with more Tubi watches. And remember, like I always say, Tuesdays aren't just for tacos. We'll see you later.